Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm DarkHour717. Today we're going to discuss patch 316. We're going to take a look at the latest patch for Star Citizen Universe that was just released today. Before we get started though, I want to remind you to hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to follow over on Twitch where you can catch our stream every Wednesday and Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and our news and information podcast every Saturday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, State of the Verse. As we're approaching the end of the year, we are currently experiencing patch 316, which was just released today. It consists of a wide variety of additions and improvements. This includes Area 18 Hospital, Jump Town 2.0, adding the Drake Cuddy Steel, atmospheric bounties, Gravlev rework, the underground facility polish, law system improvements, the Ares Ion and Aegis Redeemer polish pass, and mounted gun polish pass. Okay, so to get into the good stuff, Jump Town 2. This dynamic event is starting its run on the live servers and is slated to be running between the 23rd of December through the 14th of January. The event itself is designed after what occurred due to a glitch way back when. I'll have a full in-depth review of the event itself once it goes live and is playable in the new patch, though it feels like it's going to be a great addition. Premise being to run illegal drugs either through lawful or unlawful missions. This is the first event that officially allows a player to play either side. It is a PvP type event that sees players proceed to a drug lab to pick goods up and then take to their respective area to sell. In its initial runs on PTU, we saw a couple of different effects from this. We saw all-out battles where there were large groups of people playing both sides, and it was a great time. We also got onto one server where there was only about 13, 14 of us, and everybody was playing the lawful side, and there was no real fighting going on. Also, at other times, we saw when the event wasn't even running, people were congregating at Jump Town just to have all-out PvP battles. During the times that was running, it seemed to run very smoothly though, and it turned out to be a fun event for all. This seems to really have the potential to be a big boost for the PvP community, as well as a potential for big AUEC earnings, with the final price of selling each individual bale at about 19,200 AUEC on PTU. This really does bring a huge earning potential that is going to be unmatched by quite a bit. With other improvements being made throughout the PTU testing, including a time frame in which you can sell the items after the event ends, and that increase in the selling price from the original 7,200 AUEC to that 19,200 AUEC, it looks like, and even in a large group, you can stand to make quite a bit of funds for in-game purchases. All in all, I think this new event has a lot of potential to really be the next step in dynamic events and provide a lot of fun for everybody on the server, and now has the ability to be played on both sides. Now, we do know that Ninetales did get a portion actually added to it that would allow playing the illegal side of the Ninetales event, though that won't be launching onto the server until after the start of Jump Town, so Jump Town is officially the first one to run two sides. We also saw the restock, repair, refuel services on surface stations, that it's finally fixed for now. For a long time, the ability to restock, repair, refuel on moon and planetary surface stations has been gone. It also has been much missed in the fact that being able to run bounties and not having to go back to Everest or Bygenie or somewhere like that, you could actually restock, refuel, and repair very locally to where your bounties were running. So this is great to see this fixed. Now, one thing that we do note in the patch notes is that they are currently having a restock, repair, and refuel issue with what they call LEOs, or low Earth orbit stations. That's going to be your areas like Everest, Bygenie, Tressler, and Port Olisar. Me personally, I've not experienced it, but I've been taking advantage in the PTU of using those moon stations for those features. So it really seems like they fixed one, and another one is now having issues. Patch 316 also introduces the next medical facility to be placed in the verse, and that's at Area 18. In previous patches, areas like Lorville and Arcorp, your initial spawn could be set in the city, but afterwards any death did result in you being placed in Bygenie Point or Everest Harbor medical facility. Now that Area 18 has a proper hospital, we should see that your spawn will be down on the planet. Now, I don't see the issue with vehicle spawn listed in the patch notes anymore that they had with basically Orson and Area 18. So hopefully that has either been fixed, but it is possible that they may have just not remembered to put it in there. Of course, we've also seen the atmospheric bounties being added in with 316, and they're a new type of bounty introduced that's going to take you down to the surface of a planet to take on another ship in dogfighting, just above the surface of the moons or planets. We've actually done several of these. First, I will say it is great to now have more missions and activities out in the ArcCorp and Microtech areas. Previously, bounties really centered around only Hurston and Crusader, so bringing in these other planets into the gameplay loop is a welcome bit of fun. The bounties are simple and fun and provides for a great resource for a little easy AUEC. There is only one inconsistency I've seen with these, and that is the same bug we experience in the other bounty gameplay loops where it could take some time for the targets to appear. And as I mentioned, this is the same issue we were seeing with 315-1 bounties. And after arriving, there's no guarantee the mission can proceed until the blue mission icon transfers to the actual contact once the contact shows up. Now, this can cause you to have to evade if the contact's there and it hasn't moved, and just continue to maneuver until it recognizes it and moves that blue target over to the actual ship. Be aware, if you destroy the target before that icon changes, most likely your mission will not complete and you'll need to just abandon and grab another one. Another thing we did note in the PTU is that going on these missions, the name of your target in the contract did not always match the name of the target that was actually on site. But destroying that target that was on site cleared the mission either way. Of course, we're going to see the Drake Cutlass Steel added in here with 316, and this is the newest addition from Drake, and it's straight to flyable with the standard Cutlass Black, 4 size 3 guns, and a dual size 3 turret. What it adds, though, is more missiles and a remote dual size 2 rear gun and 5 door-mounted Gatling guns. You're going to have 2 of these on each side and 1 in the rear door. This thing is a combination gunship dropship with capacity for 18 drop seats, and it's going to be really useful for the Jumptown 2 event for teams and orgs alike. This is going to allow you to come in with the firepower you need to overtake the area, and currently it's available on the Pledge store with 316 at $235 US for a standalone ship or $210 US for a war bond. You can also CCU up to it with either a standard CCU or a Warbond CCU and enjoy this new ship from Drake. Me personally, I went with the CCU. I think the 235 or even 210 is a little bit high for a standalone ship of this caliber, but going with the CCU off a ship that you're not using much, definitely well worth it. And of course, we have the Gravlev rework, and this has been heavily reworked to improve the overall experience on the Gravlev bikes. That's the Nox Q, the Dragonfly. Now with this, we will get some definite quality of life perks in the fact that if the bike is left on and you get off, it's not going to shoot into the air and out of your reach. As well as when you get on and start the bike, it will do a gentle rise. Now this is going to provide overall better control and performance, as you're going to have more say in the overall elevation, and speed will be adjusted based on your overall height above the ground. Launching off of a large jump will also no longer bottom the bike out and cause an explosion and potential death. Which brings us to the law system improvements. This is one item I feel is definitely needed quite a bit of work, and I think we're going to see continuing work being done on it and more improvements down the line. This is definitely a step in the right direction though. Overall, improvements have been made in this to assist in identifying and adjusting for friendly fire situations. Now, this has been a big pain in people's side for a while and really came to the forefront during Xenothreat. With the second running of Xenothreat, we did see some improvements that were made, and this really builds on top of that. Aggravated vehicular assault has been removed from the list of crimes you can be charged with, as well as the ability to be a bit more forgiving in the friendly fire charges and low-level crime stats. One notable change is that if a criminal does commit a friendly fire offense, the allowance is much less forgiving for them. Now, as far as something that's not in the PTU patch, that's going to be the Ninetales event. In the PTU, we saw this being tested alongside with Jumptown 2.0. And word is this will actually be activated on 316 live servers starting the 28th of December and be running through the 8th of January. I will say it appears they removed the commodity cap in purchasing medical supplies, as those were definitely immensely abundant while we were playing on PTU. And that could have been the reason why, or they may have made that adjustment and moved that over to the live servers, which I'm hoping they did, because that was really one of the downfalls of the initial run of Ninetales. I did find, though, that when we worked this mission, when we were testing in PTU, that eventually we did just abandon it and move on to other things. There really was no progress being made, and The event itself originally was very long and drawn out and was very tough to get it to catch your attention. I think one great addition to this was definitely adding the ability for people to play the pirate side of things, and that put a new challenge in there of the PvP battles, which we greatly enjoyed. But overall, I think the mission is still lacking that one bit that will really just kind of grab you and keep you involved in playing it and wanting to see it through. Now onto some of the slightly disappointing for myself or other type items for patch 316. The reassignment of the mining modules to patch 317. This was a bit of a disappointment to me because of the fact that I am a frequent prospector miner, and these were going to be definitely something I wanted to try out. The announcement was made in the roadmap roundup after the initial PTU was launched, and I'll say that we are all aware that the items are always subject to change as to whatever's on the roadmap. Nothing is set in stone until it's actually launched, but it did bum me out a little bit. Of course, I'll always say that I would prefer that they push an item back to release it in the best version that they can than to rush and release it before it's ready and be disappointed by its performance. Of course, we also found out that laser trip mines are actually pushed to 316.1, which those were going to be fun for me, but again, 316 means 316 or 316X, so I can understand the push to 316.1. And now, for the one thing that probably we all are aware of is, of course, a disappointment to some and not so much for me because it doesn't really affect me or bother me much. I'm happy with it, but the Ares Ion and Redeemer adjustment. This I'm going to briefly touch on now that the patch is released to live, and the changes that were made seem to have stuck. The Redeemer did get a polish pass, and in doing so, they adjusted the turret velocities of the ship. We actually multi-crewed this the other night and on stream, and we did notice a difference, though I would not say it was really anything that really made a huge difference, and we were still able to take out numerous targets very effectively with the changes. As for the Ion Polish Pass, with the live release, the ship itself had an adjustment made to the size 7 laser cannon, turning off aim assist, increasing its rate of fire, as well as the number of shots before capacitor depletion to 43, and if you bump your capacitors all the way to full weapons, 52 shots. And as noted by CIG, this change was made to make it harder to track and one-shot single-seat fighters. This in turn has opened a can of worms on Spectrum and also patch release notes, and I will say that for me personally, I don't mind the changes. The response on Spectrum, though, does indicate a number of people on both sides of the coin that are for it as well as against. In using the Ion, I feel I can use it just fine, and the changes actually do balance it out. The Ion is originally meant to be taking on large ships, especially the Capital class, which outside the Idris, 890 Jump, and the Reclaimer, we really do not have any of those in game yet. A lot of pilots are using it for PvP or for bounty hunting, and in the meantime, this presents a large number of single-shot kills. Now, technically, this really is not an issue, but in looking at the design of the ship and making it viable and more in tune with the current state of the game, this change does two things. One, makes dogfighting and bounty hunting more of an experience than sitting far out of range and single-shotting a ship and calling it a day. In actuality, the ships that are single-shot are mostly single-seat small fighters. This also forces a player to close the range to engage with an enemy more directly, providing more of a challenge to both parties. The smaller ships like the M50, Mustang, Delta, Sabre, Arrow, and Gladius actually do hold an advantage in maneuverability to the Ares series. Being fast and the ability to use thrusters to quickly move out of the way of the laser cannon in some ways levels the playing field. In its original state, the Ion very much was a meta-style ship, with very little opposition out there, which could make a viable threat to it. This now presents a weakness to the ship. Now the Ion is still very capable of decimating most ships with little effort, and it can still take on an Idris solo. The push to live, though, is not the final configuration, as we've all seen where they adjusted items after the push to live, and as also noted by the flight combat team, it's a long-term goal to do away with the meta-style gameplay, and many ships, especially the ballistic ships, are all going to be adjusted. First and foremost, it's easy to forget, though, that the Ion was designed as a capital ship killer. And even with the changes that have been made to it recently, it is very much still that. It is bred and born to be a capital ship killer, and it will do it any day of the week. I think that in the overall picture, patch 316 has some really cool features. Likely Jump Down 2 is the most exciting thing that I'm going to be looking forward to myself, as well as the Drake Cutlass Steel. The patch itself, aside from those two items though, really feels more like a 315X patch that's just finally putting things in that were missed or forgotten in 315.1. An example of this being the Ninetales event, which was unexpected until we saw it being tested in PTU. And in many ways, it feels like it's kind of thrown in there as to just add content and make it seem like a larger patch. And aside from the addition of the missions for playing the illegal side of Ninetales, it really seems that none of the issues that were mentioned during the postmortem after the first run have really been addressed or changed, and it's really kind of just been kept lackluster. But as of today, 316 has gone to live, but most likely I don't expect that this is going to catch a fraction of the excitement that the other recent patches have. I hope you found the video informative, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment below. Let me know what your impression is so far of patch 316. Do you have anything that excites you about it, or what are your experiences so far? We always love to hear all of your opinions. Also, remember to follow on Twitch and catch the stream every Wednesday and Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and catch our State of the Verse podcast every Saturday at 8:30 p.m., starting up again after the new year. If you'd like to help support the channel, check out the Patreon, the merch store, or even click the join button here on YouTube and become a member for as little as 99 cents. I personally want to thank everybody for all the support and checking out the channel and supporting our org as well as our videos, and we will catch you next time.